Merry Christmas, ghouls. Here we are back again to talk about the new film from 1974. The Black Christmas. This is your host, Veronica, and to my right is...
I like how you had to look which direction right was.
I know. No, I wanted to fake you out because I don't care about you. But you, B, I do care about you. I adore
hello.
you.
I'm Beatrice. I love carbs.
You love carbs. And right next to her is a...
Mary, hello.
Go on, Kenneth, with your face.
I saw you hold your hand up to see which one made the L, so...
I mean,
we all
he's
know.
the one with the coffee. I do that. So yeah, we finally saw the 1974 Christmas horror film, which some of us may not say was on our list of nice things, and some of us loved it.
True. Very true.
It was a movie.
It was a movie.
It got made.
It happened.
Yeah. We knew there was a remake. We didn't watch that. Anyone watched anything?
Oh, no, actually, I was thinking about it, and then I went and looked at reviews, and apparently it's hot trash.
Oh,
It's
wow.
I kind of figured it might be.
Of course
I
it is.
saw that one when it first came out.
Oh.
So a good long while ago. The only thing I remember is that it was terrible. And I remember that there was a scene where the bad guy had killed one of the sorority girls, and he used cookie cutters to cut skin or flesh out of her back to make cookies.
Oh my God.
And even then, I'm like, this is not possible.
You were just like, you can't do that. Yeah,
If you can turn a person into a single flesh of window curtaining, you can make flesh cookies.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, it's a brave new world.
The more you know.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Christmas miracle. It's a Hallmark movie about that, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So it's based upon a sorority house that gets a slasher in their attic, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's the general vibe
I was-
here.
General vibe. It's,
I was-
it's the 70s. It's a very 70s vibe.
Yes.
It's a
I
very
was
70s vibe.
reading some stuff about the movie, and they just referred to the killer as a disoriented man.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, his phone calls were pretty schizophrenic, so he
Yeah.
sounds a little lost in
Yeah.
some way.
So he's known to the girls as the moaner because he calls and says all these
He's
things. He moans.
obscene phone calls.
He does make obscene phone calls. He moans in the beginning.
Really,
Then
yeah,
pretty
that
much when he
first
kind of like goes in during a party and kind of makes his way up the lattice and into the attic and just camps there, they start turning kind of bizarre.
Yeah, it went
But-
from your basic obscene call to something more out of his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first one we just hear a lot of weird
Moaning.
noises, and like shrieking, and in a way
Pig
which
sounds?
you're definitely.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking to myself, okay, this could be a dude jerking it, or it could be someone getting murdered.
Well, he does. He does say the the fan favorite of just like I want your pretty pink cunt.
Yeah, he
is
says
in
this-
there.
I love when a man tells me that.
He did say cunt.
Is that a fan favorite?
Yeah.
Not for me, but
Okay.
maybe
Yeah,
for
that-
someone.
We
No,
don't
that
know
just
who our
made me
listeners
uncomfortable.
are, okay?
I think by the listens we have on one particular episode, we know who our listeners are. But still,
That's for sure. When in this movie, we have Olivia. We have some favorites. I have mine. It was Olivia Hussey.
Yeah,
From Juliet. Romeo
Yeah,
and
that's
Juliet. We have
Wait, like the one that they make you watch in...
in school
Yeah, in
quite
school.
often. Yeah.
Oh my God, no wonder she looked familiar. I was like, man, I've seen her.
There's a fun blurb where apparently she ran into Steve Martin.
Yeah. Oh God.
And he said, "Oh, you were in my favorite film," and she thought he meant Romeo and Juliet. And he says, "I love Black Christmas. I've seen it 17 times."
Oh, it was like 30,
Oh, wow.
30 something times, and he was just like,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh, okay. That was
You
awesome.
weird.
You weirdo.
But
Yeah, back
okay.
away.
And I watched her interview of why she took the part. It said that she took the part because a psychic told her to. They said, "Oh, you're going to be in a great film horror movie, and it's going to make a lot of money."
That's weird.
And then, which a producer was like, "That's cool."
Yeah, we are going to use
Yeah,
that
yeah.
information
Yeah.
forever.
But also, when like later in life, when I saw her do another interview, she's like, "Well, I just had a baby. I thought it'd be nice to get away from it for a while." Make a horror movie.
fair.
I was like, wow, that's nice.
Cool.
She's being honest.
Yeah, so she's our final girl, our
Kinda, sorta, maybe?
sort of final lady.
Yeah.
Olivia Hussey before Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Margot Kidder. Yeah.
Remember Kidder, sorry.
Yeah,
That's
Monica.
why she looked for. Wow,
Oh my
Dude,
god!
what were you doing?
Not looking people up. Apparently,
I was watching this, and Monica comes home and wanders through and goes, "Is that friggin' Lois Lane?" So yes, it is.
Yes,
Margaret
it
Kidder,
is.
right?
Yeah, Margaret Kidder.
And then Drea Martin, which I know
Right.
from Great News and My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
And apparently that role was originally supposed to go to Gilda Radner.
Yeah, but she just got
yeah.
cast in SNL, and she made her way out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, fair. I think, choosing SNL at that period
I mean,
of
I
time was
guess,
probably
yes.
a good move
Yeah,
for a person.
for sure.
And I kind of freaked out when I saw John Saxon.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's Nancy's dad from Nightmare on Elm
Nancy Dad.
Street.
I
Yeah.
was like, his training as a cop.
Right. He just plays
God.
nothing but
Cop training.
cops.
Only
I loved
cops.
it.
Only cops.
Cops,
He
just
was a
cops.
weirdly functional cop in this too. Like
He was a very good
proud
cop.
of
He
him.
was way better than he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah,
He was just a dummy.
I mean, he was way better than Nash, the front desk officer.
oh, come on.
Doesn't know the word
sucked.
fellatio.
It's obviously the new. What was the new
Exchange?
number?
Yeah,
Exchange? Fe fellatio.
I love the other detective just busting.
yeah.
out.
laughing for like a solid 5 minutes.
In the credits, it's literally Laughing Cop.
Oh, that's
No
fantastic.
fucking name.
Nice. I don't suppose anybody else here was. I mean, Mary might.
Okay.
Old enough and country enough to have been on a party line.
What? I mean, I know what a party line is,
Wow.
but I was not old enough to be on one.
See,
what
I
is
was.
even?
Really?
You're a little older than me, but I think I might be more country than you.
Well, because I lived in a very small town, but the only reason I knew what a party line was because my grandmother watched Hee Haw, and there was always some skit they did that was vaguely party line-ish, but it was like in a cornfield. I mean, it was Hee Haw. But anyway, so you actually were on a party line?
Yeah, when I was first growing up, up until I was 7, we lived in this super old farmhouse outside this tiny town in northern Illinois, and we actually were on a party line, and we had a rotary phone.
Oh, well, yeah, I had those. I definitely had
And
rotary phones.
We when we would call the neighbors who were on the same extension, we'd only have to dial 4 digits.
Oh, wow.
It was definitely weird.
That's insane.
So what's a
That's
party
wild.
line? That's
Oh no!
dial
See,
four
it's like
digits?
farmers only. You city folk just wouldn't understand.
You had to be part of 4-H club.
So it's
a whole thing.
Fellatio.
It's a shared line.
Oh.
So if if you were on the same extension as our house, you could pick up the phone and hear our conversation.
Ugh.
Same extent.
Could have come in handy.
Like not in the
certain
not
moments
in the
my
same
life.
house.
Not in the
Like-
same house.
Oh,
Apparently, that kept a lot of ranchers sane in the early days.
I can
Oh,
believe
yeah.
that. Yeah.
just listening to their conversations of neighbors.
You would do
contacts.
your work for the day, and then like they would take their phones, hook them up to their metal fences, and then just everyone would do that, and you would just chat with your neighbors who are like 10 miles away, and it's the only thing that kept them functional when it's like just them out there for 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I could
guess
see
the
that.
cows
I
can't
could see
keep
that
up Mark's
working.
conversation. I can see that.
thanks, NPR.
So this is really cool. Like, I mean, this is so a lot of great actors were in this film. The whole premise of this is the original. He's upstairs. It's
Yeah, the
in
calls
the
coming
calls
from the
coming from
house.
inside the house.
That was super cool.
The urban legend to come to life. I thought that was really cool. This
I would say that was the one point of the movie where I actually got a little bit of a shiver.
that was definitely
Dude, that
like,
gave me
peak
so
right there.
many chills because obviously we're all going to have our own opinion about what we thought of the film ultimately and as a full piece, but for me, anything that has any basis in reality or could have happened, could happen, that bothers me more than anything else in
Oh,
a
yeah.
more typical
Yeah.
horror film. So like, even though there might have been moments in the movie that I found kind of slow, the actual fact of what was going on really, really unsettled me. This
Yeah.
idea of someone being in your home and you not knowing it,
Oh yeah.
calling you. And then you realize that's where the calls are coming from. Like, that's terrifying to
That's
me.
what really got
Blah.
me. Yeah, definitely. That's what really got me. Was just like, oh yeah, he's upstairs, and yeah, we know that people are getting picked off,
Right, one by one.
But like, if I was Olivia Hussey, I'd be freaking the fuck out. I do. So when Bob Clark got the director got the script, it was called The Babysitter. And he said it was more slasher than anything. So he rewrote half of it to make it more, I guess, more of a thriller, where people had lives, because he was tired of high schoolers and college kids not being people. So that's
Yeah.
why throughout the film we follow Olivia Hussey's character. Honestly, I can't remember her name.
Yeah, me neither. Actually, I'm
I
drawing a
can't remember
total blank. I don't.
Claire.
Claire.
Jess. Her name is
No,
Jess.
Claire was the first girl who went
Yeah.
Oh,
missing.
poor
Yeah.
Claire.
Yeah, poor
Who just
Claire
kept
is a-
talking to the plastic up in the closet.
I just
man.
read the first name I saw.
Yeah, Claire. Buzzing. I'm like Jess. Her name is Jess.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I just kept referring to her as pregnant girl and then douchebag boyfriend.
Yeah,
Oh my
and that's
God.
it. Like she has her own thing, her pregnancy, and that's it. Like when Peter, we follow her and her abortion story.
God, that guy sucked.
Yeah, but
was
good for
such a
her, dude.
yeah,
Like
right?
standing up for what
Yeah.
she believes in, but
Yes.
like, no, this is getting out of me.
Yeah.
I got things I want to do.
You didn't even talk to me about it first? Fuck you.
Fuck you, dude.
Well, I won't change my mind. We'll see. No, I fucking said I'm not gonna change my goddamn mind. How about
Oh my
that
God.
shit?
And then he fucks up his recital or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
He
goes to
destroys
town on
his
it with
piano.
a mic stand. What a
blames
piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
he was
the
a weirdo.
Only thing I could say in his defense is maybe if he's been up for 4 days straight, maybe tell him that after the recital.
I mean, I did
That
think
was
about
kind
that.
of shitty.
I did kind of think about that. I'm like, she could have waited, like,
Yeah, like it was like in 2 more hours you could just
I think-
call him up.
But she's been holding on to this secret of being pregnant.
And she tried to when she makes that first call to him and she's like, hey, let's meet up and we'll talk. And he's like, no, talk to me now.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
like demands
yeah.
that she come meet him right away.
But when you do say something like that, but like we gotta talk later, you're like always kind of thinking, why?
That's true. If somebody's like, oh, I want to talk to you about something later, immediately I'm like, just fucking tell me now.
Everything's on high alert.
What did I do?
Yeah.
It's never about puppies.
It's never
Can you
about
imagine
puppies.
someone like calling you up and being like, I really got to talk to you. Let's talk, we need to talk soon. Okay, come over. And then they're just, I saw a puppy today and I really needed to tell you. And now I'm going.
I really needed to show you this Instagram video I took of a dog. It was the cutest dog.
It was the best thing ever.
Best thing ever.
I don't know if I could be mad about that. Made you like, oh, okay.
Lovely.
I foresee some nice practical jokes
Please,
coming
please
my
do
way.
not call me over to look at Instagram.
Softest of friends.
Oh, we have her. We have Olivia Hussey. We have poor Barb, Margot Kidder, who
my God.
calls her
Man.
mother a gold-plated whore. Right? And I was like, "Merry fucking Christmas!" That's awesome,
Dude, poor Barb. She was plumbing it off the deep end pretty quick in
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
movie for me. It's like on the one hand, I liked how Margot Kidder was playing the role because she was very full of herself and very I hate using this word, but it's what came very sassy. She's got a lot of attitude.
That's
but
not mean sassy, man.
but
And she's
Yeah.
she's a bit of a dirtbag.
she's a bit
Yeah.
of a dirtbag. But then like that whole scene where she's drunk and Claire's dad's
Oh, man,
there.
that made me
And
very
she's just like,
uncomfortable.
you all think she's dead and I'm the one to blame. And, I don't give a shit about her dad. He's like right at the table.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, Barb,
my
go
God.
sleep it off.
You
Sober
a
up,
mess,
girl.
Barb. Because she's the one who's like, the tough girl, who
Right.
has,
Yeah.
but she's the party girl.
Yeah.
And the last one who speaks to Claire before Claire's the first one to get
To
killed
die.
off.
Yeah,
to
that's
get
right.
in the whole, and to me, that was really natural the way that her dad comes, and now there's a missing thing.
Exactly.
And then, I was like, okay.
Well, and what you were saying about the director wanting the characters to actually have lives and kind of be adult, I think that's pretty apparent when you compare it to subsequent slasher films, which are either dealing with, usually with girls who are younger, high school age-ish, or just on the cusp of young adulthood, who don't seem to care about anything other than having sex or getting drunk. These girls actually do have things going on in their life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
issues going on. And it made them seem more like real people. Better than I would say a lot of movies that I've seen.
Well, and I would say that I also really enjoyed the addition of the other crime that having presumably the person in the house on his way to the house then kidnapped and murdered a 14-year-old girl.
Okay,
and
so
left her body.
that's the premise. Because to me, it seems so disconnected. I had a hard time seeing it as the same dude. I'm not saying that it wasn't, but like my brain wasn't connecting it.
See, for me, that made total sense. That
Okay.
because we don't really get any backstory on this guy, but wherever he came from, he stumbles into town. First, he kills this girl. Then he wanders into this house for whatever reason.
Right.
But it made sense to me, especially as a way to move the plot forward.
Okay.
That we have that there's more going on outside of their lives, so that it makes it feel like a whole world.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
See,
Nice.
I really did kind of wonder why they put that in there at first. It did seem very coincidental. They go to the police and they're like, hey, we got to report this missing. And this woman's like, my kid is missing too. And it's like, oh, no. I guess when you think about it also, now that I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay, now that kid's dead. It ups the ante that Claire's probably dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Poor dad. He did, he stuck around, but
yeah.
she did.
That if you, especially because the guy at the front desk is such a
Ash is
shitbird
such
about
such a fucking
the
horrible
missing
cop.
girls. Oh, she's probably at a cabin with a boyfriend.
Like,
but
what
then,
the fuck?
But then when the boss comes in and he's like, well, we've already got one dead girl. Now we've got a missing girl,
Yeah.
and at the same house they're getting obscene phone calls. Probably this shit is for real.
Yeah,
Thank you, John Saxon.
Yeah, do your job,
Jesus.
man. Do your job.
Fuck you,
Yeah.
Nash.
Yeah,
See,
his
I know
answer
why you
for
don't know what
everything-
fellatio is.
His answer for everything was just, "Oh, it's probably your boyfriend."
Which I really
Like-
liked how the boyfriend showed up and was like, hey, hi.
Yeah.
No?
Get fucked.
What's his name? Brian or Brad or something like
I
that?
thought it was
the,
Chris
The
or
boyfriend.
something.
Chris.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Chris.
That guy was cool.
Way better than Peter.
So
Yeah.
originally he was going to be the killer. The producers
see that.
wanted him to be the killer. That,
Oh,
like,
wow.
Which I kind of did like that he was like holding her and then he's like, Angie, because he kept saying that weird Angie. Where they're
Oh,
like, don't tell
Agnes.
They tell
Agnes.
Agnes what we did, okay? And they're like, what? But it, ambiguous.
Agnes, don't tell them what we did.
Yeah,
baby.
it just went on and on with the calls, and it wasn't the whole point was to leave it ambiguous. That was
yeah,
Bob
he
Clark's
wanted it, so
decision
Bob
was to
wanted-
leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Originally, there was supposed to be definitely an ending from the writer's point
Right.
of view and from the producer's point of view, but he's like, nah.
Yeah. Nah. And it works
That ain't
better
it.
I
that
have to
way.
say that obviously Chris is better than Peter. I also
Yes.
loved Chris's coat. It reminded me of Bobo Del Rey's coat. From
Yeah, I could see
that
that.
was a coat.
I loved Peter. I'm not
No,
Peter. I
no
loved
one loves
Chris.
Peter.
I love Chris because what? Because I
You're
married Chris.
heavily biased.
I'm heavily biased towards
Chris
that
bias.
name. I'm Chris biased. Also, I like the whole in the room of Claire's room, and it had the spread eagle.
Well, the peace
Peace
sign.
sign that she tried
And
to
then
cover.
she kept trying to cover
I
up.
was like, that's definitely Chris and Claire. that's something else, man.
I couldn't tell from the blocking, and that's not like a popular poster I had seen before. They're like having sex.
They're having
they're like,
sex.
Okay.
They're having the sex.
The sex.
Which, by the way, I mean this is way off topic a little bit, but naked people having sex and maybe not wanting to necessarily be someone who sees it. There were two people who like went up on top of one of the pyramids in Giza and had sex and got caught like a drone shot of them having sex on top of this pyramid. And now they're in legal trouble. Like they're
Oh shit!
Was it worth it?
Like live your best life, but come on.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, I could see somebody, people who are into exhibitionism daring each other.
Oh, I'm sure.
Getting crazier and crazier
I'm
places.
sure.
So pros
yeah,
and cons, man.
you gotta weigh them.
You should Google that first. Can I fuck on the pyramids?
Legally. Legally. What,
You could, but should you? Those are the real questions you
if
ask
throat
yourself.
catch my ass having the sex.
That has to bring on a curse of some kind, right? Fucking on top of a
Oh
pyramid.
yeah.
I don't know. It could summon the spirit of a dead
The fertility
Egyptian god.
gods.
Yeah.
I got some pissed off spirit.
So yeah, the naked peace sign. Now that I've seen people doing it on a pyramid, it's small potatoes.
Yeah. I really did
Claire's
enjoy
poster.
the fact that was the most of the
There's
the
no
skin that we
nudity,
saw.
and I really liked
Yeah.
that. Not that I am opposed to nudity
No,
at all, but
It just didn't fit.
it was just everybody was wearing seasonal appropriate
Yeah.
clothing.
Yes.
I was like, man,
like,
it's
no,
cold.
it's really cold
I can
out
see
there.
that.
Yeah, it's
there was,
fucking cold
and then we were
outside.
talking about like in the car. We're like, oh well, there's no like, I'm getting undressed for bed now.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no pointless nudity shot
Yes.
of just like, oh, it's time to get in my skimpy negligee here at the sorority.
pillow fight.
I mean, I've had a few dreams like that, but that's
I know you were.
I didn't need it in the movie.
I mean, I've lived in a sorority house, and most of those girls do not own lingerie. It's like anybody else. You sleep in an old T-shirt and a pair of boxers with a hole in them. That's right.
Is it a strategical? Or
Yeah, that's where the pee goes.
Just like the sorority girls, they're just like anybody else.
Just like
And really,
us.
that was the moral of the story. Like, sorry to girls, they're just like us,
They're just like us.
Yeah.
but we're alive. Never dead.
Yeah.
But and So we went through a lot with them. I felt like we went through Olivia Hussey.
Get to know 'em.
Go through her. Margot Kidder, like, I liked her death, that she got killed by this glass unicorn, and you see it covered in blood.
Yeah.
I was like,
I guess that was probably the most slightly gruesome, just by knowing what was happening, gruesome death. I mean, it was pretty bad for
I felt kind of bad that
the
she had a
den mother
chance to
had a hook to the face.
She did. I felt bad though. Margaret Kidder like had a chance. She kind of woke up. He came back.
Right.
Yeah.
She had her
Good job
moment. She even said, "What is it that she must have been having a dream of someone in a room."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, girl, that wasn't a dream.
I have to say that I didn't really like the perp cam. You know, where it's like handheld running at something
Everything
and
is-
then backing
yeah.
up. I mean, that felt very 70s schlock to me.
But wasn't that like one of the first times
It was.
they did
It was
something like
even
that?
pre-Halloween.
I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
pre-Halloween,
Yeah, this
right.
is
So it was
Pre-Halloween.
actually like on the guy's shoulder, and like, cause you could tell like he was only going up the ladders with one hand.
Yeah.
He was only going up the ladder with one hand. I was like, okay. And I thought, how tall is this guy? Because sometimes it was very short, and I was like, and apparently it was always a different person.
Oh.
I was like, oh no. like when you go to the stairs, I was like, oh, that's very low to the ground. I didn't love the fishbowl look lens on the end. there.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's not anything I tend to like either.
did not love
Visually
that.
speaking.
But so different people supposedly even made when you saw the eye
Right.
after when he finally gets found out,
Yeah.
because we have the scene after everything we find out he's the abortion. Peter comes by. He's the red herring.
Right. He's he's our red
Did
herring.
anyone think he was actually the killer?
No.
Nah. He seemed
the
way
only
too
ti-
stable.
The only
Even after smashing
What?
that piano.
Yeah.
No,
He was
the
like,
only time I thought it might be him for real was who the fuck skulks around a house and breaks out the window in a basement and comes inside.
God, right?
That seems psychotic.
The very
Yeah.
end when she's running away from the killer.
And I was just like, oh, maybe it really is you, and you are a lunatic.
Now,
well, because he had blue eyes.
But there you go. He had a different eye color.
But they
Yeah.
said that the person who was wearing who played him a couple times was supposed to wear contact lenses, but I guess they didn't have what they have now. Now
True.
we have like
Okay.
crazy
Don't have
eyes.
the kind of CG effect of.
I'd say
Changing things.
I ran through a couple of possibilities for who it might be. I thought that it was possible that it was actually a child.
Oh wow. You mean what gave you that thought process?
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious.
The vocabulary usage,
True.
the sound
Yeah.
of the person on the phone, the angle that the camera was at
Right.
felt really low sometimes.
Right.
But I think mostly I was like, oh, probably this is just some random asshole.
I mean, pretty much though, right? Because
Yeah.
we're not given any information, which, as we said earlier, was purposeful, so that it was left ambiguous, and we're not given any kind of resolution or closure. This person gets away with it technically because Veronica and I were talking about this. Like, who the fuck leaves a traumatized girl in a house full of murder victims alone in her
Right?
bedroom at
She
the
should
end?
go to a hospital.
Yeah, why was she
Yeah,
there?
Yeah, that was
shock
really
in the
weird.
70s. Like, you just killed a man, and they're like, she needs her rest.
Like, her
she
parents
killed
are going to be
Peter.
here in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Let's all bounce.
Well,
She's
the guy
fine.
fainted. The dad fainted. So, he had
Oh,
the
right, the-
vapors.
the old guy.
He had the vapors. They had to get him out of there.
So Peter comes over. She kills him, thinking that he's the murderer.
Well, he
'cause-
did kick in the window.
Yeah,
like
it
I
was
said.
creepy.
I would have killed him.
She's just seen all her dead friends, and he spent the last 3 days being a crazy asshole.
Yeah, crazy asshole.
And so she kills
And he
him,
said
and
you're
then
going to regret it, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then she passes out.
Yeah,
Has a fit.
I think
She
maybe
Romeo
just
and
has
Juliet's it.
has
She
some,
Juliet's it
has some
right again.
shock after stabbing him. I guess with the
Yeah,
poker,
the poker.
the fire poker. Yeah.
So then we see the cops with her, and I think one of them talks about giving her a sedative. I'm like, that seems to be the last thing she needs
Yeah.
right now.
No, it was all poor decisions there. And then I personally liked how it ends. I was saying this earlier, that the fact that they chose to have no music play over the end credits, it's just the ringing phone, the continued ringing of the
Yes.
phone. I was like, that's very effective. It brings me back to the thing that's creeping me out the most about all of this idea that the sanctity of your home has been completely demolished. You have no safe place anymore because they're there and everyone's incompetent. And so, you know,
I mean, including Olivia Hussey character Jess, who they tell her she's in
the one
house. They're in
time
the
dumb
house.
cop actually is telling her the right thing to do, and she decides to
She's
stick
like,
around.
what? Just
why?
walk out. Just walk out. Why?
I'm gonna actually
Save her friends.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree on this one.
Yelled,
A
she
psycho
yelled,
killer.
Yeah, psycho killer upstairs. She
And
yells,
she's gonna
"Hey,
save them? I don't know.
hey, anyone?" And no one answers. You leave.
Oh,
Fuck
sure.
that.
I mean, that's the smart thing to do.
No, I would have gone up the stairs too.
No,
I'm glad you're my friend.
No, I would have left, but I could see why other people would. Go. Fuck you all. I'm out.
Nah, I'd be like, okay, the cops are on their way. I think my friends are still in this house. I don't know that they're already dead. And probably this guy is up there. You know, it could be the matter of moments between life and death. So, shit, yeah, man, I'd grab that fireplace poker and go up there.
I mean, I guess I wish she maybe had a better weapon, but you know what? She does a pretty good job, all things considered. She wanders into the room, sees Claire and Barb. Oh, no, not Claire.
Jess.
Who's the girl with
Jess.
the glasses? Her friend.
Phil.
She sees Phil and Barb
Jess.
tangled together.
You're right.
And then he says the little thing behind the door, "Don't tell Agnes," and he's like backing away with his eyeball, and she slams the door into him. Tries to get away, hides in the basement.
Can't open a fucking front door though.
Well, she locked it from the front,
they said that there
which
was something wrong
confused
with
me.
the-
Is that how things happened?
They said that a little something like I got
The front door was like
the
messed
jammed
up.
or something. The
Oh,
dead
is that
mother?
what it
The dead
was?
mother's like, we got to get someone to fix this door.
Oh, okay.
Fucking
okay,
doors,
fair.
man.
Yeah.
They
Plus,
get
I
in the
guess that
way.
is the time before having the every inside door you could just unlock regardless of key.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so too. Because
Okay.
it purposely has a scene where you know, when she realizes things are getting worse, she locks the door from the front. Right. She comes around to the doorknob while inside and is locking it and then shuts the door from the inside. And I was
That was
like,
a bad plan.
I was like, that's horrible. You're just locking yourself in.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Like that was just but yeah, so I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't like it was always like fast paced or anything. So there were times where I was just like, all right, and it was very 70s.
Oh God, yeah.
But the ultimate vibe of it, I actually enjoyed because it made me feel very uncomfortable.
I second that.
I would say I like a lot of the ideas in it. I think the execution was too haphazard in 70s for me to really like.
Okay.
I think obviously the remake was terrible. But I would say if you took a lot of these ideas of the guy in the house lurking, the sorority girls who have a life, you know, all the other things, if you took that and redid it in a different kind of way now, I'd probably love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think it's just it's too old for me.
Oh,
No,
man.
I'm right there with you, B. Like,
Well,
no.
Ooh, surprise. Kim doesn't like an old
literally
movie.
no one saw that coming.
We have young people getting killed. Are you not happy yet?
They were
They're not children.
Yeah, well, there you go.
No, I definitely enjoyed watching it just because it was really cool to see where a lot of original things came from, and I like that they never showed the killer. Like it makes it a lot creepier.
Agreed.
And definitely, it's the first horror movie I've ever watched home alone, so that was exciting. I was chilling in my garage building a model, and I'm just like, really glad I've got that Ring camera, so I get a notification if anyone walks up, and it was creepy, but
Yeah. I could see that. I could see
it
that.
was okay.
I'm adding this to my Christmas repertoire. Like, I like it on the background. Just like, it's like I even don't.
It's no Die Hard. Let's
I
be
love. Oh,
honest.
fuck no.
Correct.
Of course not. Nothing's Die Hard. Let's not
Seminal
fuck
Christmas
around.
movie, Die Hard.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I got my Gremlins. I got my Die Hard. I got my like.
And now you got Black
Black
Christmas.
Christmas,
yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I really did like it. And honestly, a lot of it's just the fact that I like the actors.
Yeah.
And I know that. I consciously know that I'm like, I know Olivia Hussey's not a fantastic actress, or she's very 70s. We talked about
Yeah.
this. Just the
Very
hair
70s.
is flowing and shiny.
She's
and
very pretty.
It's very
Young
pretty.
woman.
And Margot Kidder's very Margot Kidder. You know?
I loved the dead mother, but every time she pulled out that bottle
man.
of sherry,
Good
I just wanted to
Lord.
say, "Love yourself, woman. Buy a bottle of real booze." Sherry is disgusting.
Fair, but also bonus points for having it hidden all over the house.
Dude, she
Right?
had that everywhere.
That was awesome.
In a hollowed out book.
Yep.
In the toilet tank.
That was
in
weird.
a
But
closet.
still, thumbs
That
up.
was a commitment.
toilet
the toilet tank was a commitment.
Toilet hooch.
There was, I guess he wrote that part in. So Bob, he wrote the part in of Margot Kidder's character and the den mother based on his aunt who would hide booze everywhere.
Fantastic.
He wasn't as fun, but she did hide booze everywhere.
She's just a lot meaner. Slightly racist around
Do we
Christmas.
want to
but
mention that the guy who directed this film
best part of this whole thing.
also directed A Christmas Story?
I love it.
I love that. I
And
love
apparently
that.
Porky's.
Yeah.
Which is really
What?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
This guy's had a weird career.
That is an interesting
It
repertoire.
shows, it shows his versatility.
yeah.
He
As a
wanted to
director.
do a sequel with Jess as the den mother, but then he
Really?
passed away.
Wow, that would have been
Whoa.
an interesting.
Yeah, like 45 years later. He had the time.
I know, right? I guess when he finally got around to doing it, he's like, I'm dead.
Yeah. Well, he was apparently killed in a car accident. very
Shit,
unexpectedly.
sucks.
Damn.
See? He had plans, Kenneth.
I'm just saying, like, this came out in 74. That was 2007. Like,
He had a minute or two.
good time there.
I was also reading that in discussing about how he thought that a sequel might play out, led almost directly to Halloween. That
I
this
can
was
believe that,
definitely the
yeah.
precursor to Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
They do, watching this one, especially having watched the original Halloween so recently,
Yeah.
they do have a very similar vibe.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
And wasn't Halloween also called The Babysitter or based on The
Babysitter Murders or something like that,
And the original
yeah.
script was called The Babysitter for this one also.
Yeah.
I was also reading that for a long time they were going to call this one Stop Me.
Yeah.
I read that too.
Which is an
was called-
interesting
Well,
title.
because
It's an
of
interesting
the-
title,
the
but
phone
he
calls.
says it on the phone call a couple
Yeah.
of times.
Oh, and also the phone calls that were the ones we hear are not which the actresses hear.
Really?
Yeah, it was totally different.
That's
When they
strange.
did the looping, that's when they put in the oinking and the
well, yeah. I can imagine that,
That's
yeah.
when they did everything, but they just kind of read stuff for the girls to react to, but they didn't
Oh.
actually know what was going on.
That's an interesting choice.
Right? I was like, I honestly, that was the one thing for me is I didn't understand this new character. I understand the moaning. I understand the obscene cunts and pussy and all that. And I understood all that. I just didn't understand the whole turn to aunt baby.
Oh, the Agnes and the baby
crying,
and
the
the-
baby crying and everything. And it
was-
kind of stuck. It was like multiple phone calls.
I say it was really hard for me to understand what was happening because of the way that the sound quality for movies
Yeah.
of this era is much less, and the version I was watching did not have subtitles. So I'm just like, I have no idea what the fuck he's saying. I could tell when he said the word cunt.
I sure did know that one. They asked Olivia Hussey, they're like, "Oh, did you object to that being in a movie? Because especially that day at time, it was like, oh." And she's like, "I mean, no. I mean, I didn't hear it because he didn't say it to me. That's why I found out that
Right.
he didn't say that. But I mean, you commit to movie, you commit to movie.
Yeah.
Whatever."
Yeah.
He's all, and then she brought up, I commit to Psycho 4. You just go with the pro. I'm like, you were in Psycho 4?
Dude, was she?
I guess
Four
so.
Psychos?
I guess so.
There's, yeah.
I gotta not go.
Psycho sequels, man. They're
was-
not great. I'm going to tell you
What?
that right now.
I mean, we did almost name this podcast Four Psychos.
We did
man.
almost say that for Psychos.
That could have
I'm
been our
rethinking
great
all our
white whale.
choices now.
One other interesting tidbit that I read was that when this movie was supposed to be shown on television for the first time, you see this too?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
me
did.
too.
That it was originally going to be shown, and that they not only were they playing with a different title, they're thinking about
Right.
calling it Silent Night, Evil Night.
Yep. Yeah.
And then it was scheduled to air, and then the week before, somebody attacked a sorority house and killed 2 girls, injuring 2 others.
Oh, wow.
That somebody, fan favorite, Ted Bundy. At the University of Southern Florida.
And they're just like, I don't think we should show this on TV right now.
Somebody
that's fair.
brutally attacked
Makes a lot
bunch
of
of
sense.
sorority girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
See, now I like the fact that someone was responsible enough to be like, something horrific just happened.
Yes.
We're not going to show this thing. I feel like I'm just going to call out the people who decided to make the Slender Man movie. And
Oh,
be like,
man, right?
You should not make a movie out of something
No,
where actual
agreed.
real people, children, killed another child because of their fixation
Yeah.
on Slender Man and their
Too
Give it-
soon. Come on.
Give it like a good 20, 30 years
we need
or
we need
so.
some time before you decide to do that kind of shit. So I applaud responsibility.
Yeah. So it wasn't
Exactly.
that they didn't 100% pull it. That they reached out to a bunch of local affiliates, and especially in the Southern Florida region, and were like, "Hey, if you want to not air this movie, here's another movie
something
you can
else.
air instead."
Yeah,
That's pretty chill.
I definitely get it, because that had to have been terrible, because
And it
at
would
that
have been
point,
terrifying.
At that point, they hadn't caught him yet. He attacked those 4 women in the sorority house. He fled, went down the street, attacked 3 more women, escaped, and then like less than a week later, killed a 12-year-old girl, and they found her remains in like a chicken coop or
See,
something.
like, what the
Wow.
fuck, man?
So-
he was such a psycho.
Oh yeah, at that point he was berserker mode.
Yeah.
And so that was how they eventually caught him, because at that point he was so frenzied that he was leaving evidence behind.
Right.
But at that point in time, they had not caught him. They did not know who he was. He was still killing. And then to air this
Dude, that would
movie,
have panicked people.
Oh,
yeah.
And
Oh yeah, especially a movie that, like, unbeknownst to them, tied so closely into the reality, because
I was
this
like, oh shit! I think I see
involves,
more down the movie.
right?
Like,
Attacks on
Yeah.
sorority girls and a dead small child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
creepy.
See, now we would definitely put out, be like, capitalize on that shit.
And
which
that's-
is
yeah.
disgusting.
I mean, it also sort of reminded me of when they pulled that one episode of Buffy and aired it much later. Earshot.
Oh, that's right.
The
yeah.
one, the one that involved somebody bringing a gun into a school.
Right.
And because it happened so soon after, I want to say Columbine.
Yeah, I think
And so they pulled it and aired it like 6 months later during the summer.
there you go. See, it's just
Which is fine.
Yeah.
you got to just be responsible. You know, don't be tone deaf, basically, to what's going on in the world. But
Yeah.
you were saying these little tidbits here, and that got me thinking about something. I had put down a note when watching this today, and thinking about the creepy killer POV, which of course
Yeah.
we see a lot of in Black Christmas, and one of the first times you have that kind of thing happen in this kind of film, and then of course we see it again in Halloween. However, it did remind me briefly of a movie from the 60s called Peeping Tom, which is, I couldn't remember the complete plot, so I've pulled it up really quick. But it's basically a guy who works in a film studio by day, takes racy photographs by night, and he decides, I'm going to start making this documentary about people's reactions to when I'm killing them.
Oh.
And so you have this POV in the movie, which I've only ever seen clips of it, where he has like a knife or like some very pointed edge to his tripod. So he'll be taking photos of these women, and then he'll pick it up and just keep taking pictures of them as he's killing them with this.
God.
But it's that POV thing, and I was like, well, shit, man. That was happening in like 1960 or something when Peeping Tom came out. So
It's crazy.
I think it's interesting to see how these things end up evolving in filmmaking and stuff that can seem like they haven't done it before. Someone's doing it somewhere.
Yeah.
And Peeping Tom, it's a similar kind of mindset here with this idea of like wanting to make movies from a killer's perspective. You know?
I don't like point of view things in movies that much in general. Like,
Is it because you just don't like it on a camera, like
I just feel
visually?
like it never works that well.
Okay.
I liked it
Except in
sparingly in
Oh
Halloween.
Man and Doom with the Rock.
Sparingly.
That part
Right.
was good.
It's not used a lot in
Doom with the
Halloween. It's
Rock.
only a
Doom
couple
with
of
the Rock.
times.
Yes, I would say it's tough. I think where I struggled in this movie specifically is that not only is it murderer POV, but it's so shaky,
Right.
That especially when he's tussling with Jess toward the end, I can't tell
yeah.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
follow the blocking.
It's like Jason Bourne's holding that camera.
Yes. Oh my God. That like third movie was so goddamn shaky. I almost developed epilepsy spontaneously.
Well, one thing it did state, it said that they started the holiday horror movies. This
yeah,
is like the
I can
first
believe that.
holiday horror movie.
yeah.
We have
Halloween.
Halloween, and then we have,
Yeah.
all the stuff. So
Yeah.
like the Bloody Valentine and all that. So so that they did say, like, maybe they didn't say, oh, we're the first in POV, but they're like,
man.
yeah,
We're the
started
first
this.
to,
My,
like,
my
yeah.
Bloody Valentine is so fucking terrible.
How could it be? It has love in it. And all you need is love.
I brought you a heart. It's not my heart. I stole it from a woman.
So that's like Van Gogh, but
Yeah.
not Van Gogh.
I brought it to you on this
Nice.
plate.
I like that.
Hope you like it. The one thing I was gonna Did you notice, Mary, the sounds effect? It was supposed to be like household items on piano strings. Like forks and
I don't know
knives
that
and
I
shit.
noticed it when I was listening to it, but when I was looking up some stuff about the film, I saw that was the key to the soundtrack, if you want to call it that, was like piano, household things like forks and stuff.
Just like
Onto the
rapping on
strings,
it,
yeah,
or pulling on
onto the piano strings in order to make it sound, I guess,
basically
very
Peter's recital.
discordant.
Oh my
Jesus.
god, he sucked.
Yeah, I don't know if you can blame her for that, because damn, that was bad.
His recital was
You
fucking
can't blame
terrible.
Jess for your awfulness.
He
Maybe
was a sucky
bad.
human. He was just
That's probably why she told him. She goes, "You suck anyways. It doesn't matter what I fucking tell you."
That's gonna get in your head, but also like if he hadn't slept for 4 days straight, like that's not great either.
That's setting ourselves up for failure.
But that's his fault too.
Oh no, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that was just a bad plan in general.
Bad decisions were being made. But
Look at your life, look at your choices. Oh, wait, you
Exactly.
can't because you're dead.
right, and the ultimate takeaway: lock your fucking doors,
And
like for
hide
real.
booze in the toilet.
I mean, yeah. That's it.
And buy better booze
better
to hide in
Yeah.
your toilet.
There's a lot of rules here.
Yeah, just treat yourself. Get some
Yes.
bourbon.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Tell your mother go play that whore. Get
Maybe
so
don't do that
drunk
part.
you insult the fucking.
And then she
grieving
had an
father.
asthma attack, and I
Yeah,
was
what
just
was
like,
that?
I don't know.
I was like,
She was a mess.
she
She's a
was
hot mess.
she was
I-
really in a bad way.
I would say I was a little bit taken aback by one of the lines. Like most of them, like sometimes you watch older movies and some of the stuff they say or do is a little problematic.
Right.
But the "you can't rape a townie" was rough.
Oh my God.
That was rough.
Yo, that's mean.
Jesus.
But that's what Chris was. He was a townie. And that's not right. Like, very Chris bias. Sorry.
Chris bias.
My God. Oh yeah, because there was also the serial rapist happening at the same time.
Was there?
What?
Oh, she mentioned that, yeah, because that was the thing is that they were talking about the obscene phone calls.
Yeah.
And Barb didn't care, and Claire was concerned. Well, didn't you hear that girl in town got raped?
Is that
you
connected
can't
too? Is
rape-
it all the
It's-
same thing?
See, that's why we were talking about this, and you were like, "Oh, I thought that was a separate killer who killed the
I
kid."
did, yeah.
And now I'm like, "Well, maybe fuck Jesus." Like,
Hey, maybe
there's a lot
like
of shit happening.
3
in this
people
town.
wandering around out there being buttholes.
Just like a horrible town to live
Maybe
in. That's what it
that's-
sounds like to
It's
me.
like living with Jessica Fletcher. You just don't do that.
I'd say it's statistically improbable to have three serial offenders in one town, but not unlikely. What was it? It
the,
was
the one was just a 14-year-old. Like maybe she was just being a real butthole. Needed to be kicked down a hill.
Wow.
That's not serial. offending.
Are you advocating?
I'm not saying you should kill 14-year-olds, but also like they're really annoying.
You're digging yourself in.
say in the 70s, both Santa Cruz and Vancouver had multiple serial killers in them at one time.
Jesus,
What the hell?
That's so
Christ.
weird.
That's too close.
Santa Cruz, murder
That's too
capital of the
close.
world.
Too close.
My God, really? No way.
Oh yeah,
Lock
In the
doors,
70s,
lock doors.
Murder capital
Yeah.
of the
No
world.
way.
You
For
don't know.
realsies.
Jeez, God.
You don't know how many
Well, I mean,
times.
not
like,
anymore.
Not anymore.
Now it's like
Oh, we're moved on.
yeah.
Much less murder.
We're not number one.
But I do think it's very possible that they could all be connected. Because
Yeah.
you see that this guy is also, like in your other movie, is a peeper.
Right.
And peeping Toms do generally escalate to rape and then murder.
Okay. Yeah.
So he could have started out as a peeper, graduated to rape, graduated from there to murdering that
murder.
14-year-old girl, and then he's like, yeah, murder. And he just keeps going.
Let's go get me a
Yeah,
murder
I
house.
found the real high.
Yeah.
And I had this-
I assume they were all connected.
They were all connected.
Wow. Okay.
I had this thing in my head where I was trying to make sense of all this, but the whole the whole Angie thing, or what fucking
Agnes.
God damn it!
You're really hung up on Angie.
Who do you know named Angie?
Yeah.
What's
I have a cousin
Angie must die.
who's great. No, she's great. And I really thought that maybe he lost it. Like when he killed the kid, that's when we started hearing about don't tell Aunt what I did with the baby or what happened to
don't
the
tell.
baby.
Oh yeah, don't tell Agnes.
And so I was like, maybe
so-and-so.
that's when he lost his shit, is when he killed this kid in my head. I'm
I mean,
like,
there
"B,
could
tell
definitely
me.
be, there could definitely be something deeper there if he had been like raping like older teenage girls, and maybe he went after this one thinking she was 18, and then it was dark, and it wasn't until like halfway through that he realized that she was a child, and then he like had some sort of break and went and like disassociated from himself, and because he's like, I can't be somebody who raped a child. Maybe something terrible happened to him in the process, and that was a trigger, and so just totally lost his shit and has reverted back to when he was a child. And that is what led him to break into this house looking for some sort of comfort or stability.
So maybe,
Yeah.
so maybe my head makes a little sense, but
I feel
probably
like
not.
he didn't start talking about the child stuff until after.
Claire?
It was after Claire,
After
right?
Claire?
Oh,
Well,
after
and-
he heard about the abortion?
Yeah, because he
That's
would have
true.
been.
He ref-
after
yeah.
the
He could have been
divorce
eavesdropping on the phone calls.
Well, he
That's why
references
maybe-
her thing directly
Conversation
Yes.
with Peter.
about the removal of the wart.
yeah.
Yeah. She goes, "Oh my God, why?"
It could be those two events, the child that he killed and the child that he hears that she's going to kill.
Right.
And that relates back to something earlier in his life.
Could I mean?
It could.
And the movie leaves that completely open.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we could theorize,
yeah,
and
yeah.
anything can,
Which I
we
do
could
like
kinda
about
find
them.
that.
Yeah.
We're like,
Yeah.
go make up your own damn mind.
Right.
I even
Decide
thought
for
like
yourself.
a really weird sequel would be that these are actual people, like kind of like a family of murderers again, like where
Oh, geez.
they can say it's a town full of murder and rape. That maybe this is like a family of murderers and there are multiple
It's
people
just
and
kind
they,
of Texas Chainsaw
yeah,
Massacre
just Texas
family
Chainsaw.
style.
Yeah, that's why I really thought I was like maybe this is more like a Texas. Okay, or
Maybe
you
this
know,
is a Texas thing.
you know, maybe it's a Texas
seems
thing.
right.
I've never been there. Maybe it's that.
Oh my God.
So that's what I thought. Well, that'd be a weird sequel. Maybe, like what I was going to be really disappointed if that was what they were going to do for a sequel. It was like, and then Aunt Agnes is a real person. I got it right, guess. Aunt
Well
Agnes
done.
is a
Well
real
done.
person, and
Thumbs
then
up.
she was the one who was like killing kids or something. I don't know too. So
No.
I'm really glad they did. That's
Yeah,
really ambiguous.
I'm glad it is what it is.
Yeah.
Leave it ambiguous. No sequel got made. Just
Just the remake.
well, and
But
I've
the
not seen
remake
it, so I'm
had-
fine.
And the
I'm
remakes,
good.
the dead mother was the one who played Phil.
Oh,
originally,
interesting.
that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Well,
Nice.
it didn't do well, but yeah.
It's not good. No one should feel any need to watch it. There are so many other films to watch.
So much time on your hands, guys. Do not do that.
So I give it a thumbs up.
I loved it. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up too.
Yeah. How about
Oh,
oh down the tubes for kidding.
I'll give a thumbs up to the stuff it set in motion for subsequent
Okay.
films.
Yeah.
But as just a standalone viewing experience, I had more fun putting my models together than actually watching it. So, man.
Yeah, I would say I was there. There were parts of it that I really enjoyed, but I would say overall,
Yeah. No.
so Chris found it boring. Is that what you guys felt too?
I would say
Kind of.
yeah, I would say that it was slow enough that if I hadn't been like requiring myself to watch it for this, I probably would have just turned it off and wandered away.
Okay. Yeah.
I think
Same
it's,
for you, Kenneth.
Its pacing could have been fine if the actors in it could act. But I think that really kind of...
Damn!
There's a bunch of like brand new people to this, and that's fine, but you got to kill more people if you're doing that.
Oh my god!
I
Yeah.
need to pay attention one way or the
The
other.
whole first 45 minutes, I'm just like, get to the death.
Oh my god! Bring me blood. And Mary found it scary enough.
Unsettling. Yeah. I don't like real life scenarios. That
yeah.
bothers me way more than anything else that I could watch that is supernatural
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah,
And that, and that's, I'm saying that as someone who actually does believe like in ghosts and things like that, but I'm not necessarily scared by that prospect. I'm scared of people.
Yeah, scabby
People are
person with a
scary.
knife.
And so
So it's
yeah.
funny because I'm like the opposite.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, if people are just fucking shitbirds, man. But like, but if you're introducing something supernatural into it, like anything could happen.
This is true, but I feel
could get
safer.
Casper, though, too,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
feel safer
Like-
there than I do with actual people and what people can do.
Oh yeah, but like for me, if I go see one of those movies and they're like, "Ooh, it's a haunting," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's a haunting," and then 3/4 of the way through, they're like, "Oh, actually, it's a dude in the wall."
No, fuck that.
I'm like, boring.
Fuck
Yeah,
that.
I hate that bullshit.
I want real ghosts.
Bring me ghosts.
The minute they reveal that it's some dirty homeless dude who's just been
like,
sleeping
nope.
in the walls,
Yeah.
I am 100% not
It's
scared
like
anymore.
it's like the Village.
Yeah,
that movie
fuck
by,
The Village.
by Shyamalan.
You hear me?
I want
Fuck The Village.
set that movie on fire for the disappointment it gave me when I saw it in the
Well,
theater.
Wasted so much
Obviously,
damn time.
Lady in the Water is worse.
Oh,
I
is.
mean,
It's so
I
bad.
agree.
It's so fucking bad.
But
Holy
for levels
shit.
of disappointment, The Village really took the cake for me because
I was super sucked into it too. I was like, oh, this is like a whole town and they have their own way. What's
yeah. By the
happening
way,
to
if
the
you've
town?
never seen The Village,
Spoilers.
Don't fucking see it.
Damn.
Ice cold.
See Split instead. There's a Shyamalan movie you should see.
I'll tell
Okay.
you, I was so opposed to seeing that one for a really long time because just as a person who has a mental illness, sitting in the theater seeing the trailer for this film and having them have a doctor say in the
Right.
trailer, his mental illness is so intense that it can change his physical body. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you.
yeah.
B, don't you just strung out one day and you're like, damn, look at my guns today.
Like so I was so incensed. The idea that you could have some sort of dissociative identity disorder that causes your different personalities to manifest physically, I was so angry about.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I found out later that it's actually like a mutant ability that I'm like, okay, maybe I could actually watch this film. This was the only time that I needed a spoiler in order to
in order
actually see
to
it.
actually like it
Yeah.
or enjoy it, rather.
And then, so I still haven't seen Split, but I did see the trailer for the next one.
That looks
oh,
interesting.
Glass.
And I'm like,
Glass,
it
right?
looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, I love Sarah Paulson, but I'm not interested. Shyamalan can.
Go
I
away.
don't care.
I think he's finally got an upturn. Finally.
I mean, if
Yeah,
I want to watch
he's
Sarah
had a rough
Paulson,
time.
I'll just watch American Horror Story.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Which, of course, by the way, we'll be talking about
Surely.
in a mini cast, which will be up on I Know What You Podcasted last summer real soon.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you about like I don't like watching people killing people. I think people are generally awful, and I don't need to be reminded
can
of it and sit down and
but
watch
the
it.
Purge.
I haven't seen The Purge.
Oh,
See, this is
man.
the thing. If you give me a world like that
Hands
to me,
in,
I will. I will
everyone.
watch The Purge.
Yeah.
But see,
I
I don't think of The Purge as
I
the
don't think
same
of it.
as what Black
No,
Christmas is.
I don't. I
Oh,
don't
sure.
think of The
Like,
Purge
at all.
No, I don't think of The Purge at all. It's its own being. It's like it has rules. It's its own. It's a world rule. It's created a different reality.
Yeah.
Compared to, hey guys, I'm just a happy-go-lucky family, and then I hide in your attic and murder you all. Or, okay, and then one day, and I take the light out of your fucking front porch, and I ask you if I can use your goddamn phone, and then I kill you all. Like, that's no good to me.
Was that from the Criminal Minds episode?
Yeah, it was. It's literally
Oh
the
my God.
one Criminal Minds I saw, and I'm like, no,
I'm
ever,
never going
no.
outside again.
God damn, P.
I have been binge watching Criminal Minds the last couple episodes.
You were telling Shelby
Yeah.
and I about Criminal Minds. the
It's
other night.
good.
I cannot watch Criminal Minds. It's like I can't get in the Criminal Mind. I
Well, see,
know
that
they
was the
suck.
thing. When I was growing up, my mom watched a ton of shows about like real
Yeah.
murder situations, and for a while I did too. But then things happened in my life where I decided I don't want to know about this shit anymore. Like, I
That's
mean,
fair.
I know about it back in the the lizard brain knows, but for the most part, I don't want to think about that shit. I lock my doors,
Yeah.
in my car and in the apartment, and be prepared to like kill someone. That's literally how I think about these scenarios.
Yeah, that's why I don't like SVU. I'm just like, I don't
SVU?
really need
Okay.
sexual
Don't need
violence
it.
against
Don't need
women.
it.
and children.
Oh, no.
that's true. That's hard to
SVU
watch.
is too much rape.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
nothing but rape.
I can
and then they
have.
bring the kids in, and you're like, get the fuck out of
Yeah.
here. Get the
No.
fuck out of here.
Yeah, it makes
At
me
least
super
I will say
uncomfortable.
that, like, the thing that I like about Criminal Minds is that they do often include crimes that are sexual in nature, but they're never overt about it. Like, they'll just like, it's not dismissive, but it's just like, oh, we have a victim. She was found. She's 22. She was raped. But it's not like. They don't like linger on it. We don't have to watch it happen.
But I do have to sit there and watch them pick their victims and then kill them. So I'm okay.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine. I would say that I, as a person who am not a huge fan of watching stories that are all about rape,
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That is
Right,
good
right.
for
At
me.
least there's that.
But I totally understand if even that is past someone's threshold.
Yeah.
Well, I think the closest to pushing myself to some kind of limit was my deep love for Gillian Anderson had me watch The Fall, where she plays a detective in England who is trying to find someone who is breaking into women's homes and killing them. And that first season made me so uncomfortable. The acting is amazing, but it is so uncomfortable as one, a human being who likes being alive, but two, also a woman.
Yes.
I had never felt so uncomfortable in my life. And I tried to watch the second season and I just had to tap out. I was like, this is too much. I was just like, I don't need to see a show about this man who not only thinks he's better than everybody, but who can so easily destroy the safety of women's lives and just do whatever he wants. And I can't do it. So Black Christmas was, even at its tame level that it is compared to so many things, it put me on edge many times.
It was almost my threshold. I'm like, just this.
Just enough,
Just
right?
enough.
Well, I'd say that Monica just listened to the audio version of Michelle McNamara's book about Golden State Killer, which is an excellent book and a very different kind of true crime. Whereas most true crime books are like talking you through the story of the killer's background and then the evolution and then the actual crimes. Right. But this one is actually Michelle telling her own story about how she went about trying to piece these things together. And it is a really interesting story and highly recommended if you like true crime.
Cool.
I actually
but even that much of the book, because she does get into the crimes themselves, and it does involve a man coming into either the houses of a single woman or mostly couples at night and doing terrible things. So listening to that was for Monica, who doesn't listen to as much true crime as I do, was enough to really upset her for a while.
No, I would be right there with her. That's too much for me. It's just too much.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a book that I would highly recommend, but I would never tell somebody that they must, because I totally understand if it's past your threshold, because it does discuss a lot about the terrible things that this guy did and how he for a really long time got away with that, which was for me the worst part. I'm just like, he needs to be found. And so then hearing people then talk about how we should be lenient in his sentencing because he's old. That guy gets to die in jail.
Fuck that shit.
I don't care how old he is.
No, agreed.
He did terrible things to countless women.
Yeah.
He gets to die in jail.
Yeah.
But he's like so old, kill him. Fuck that.
No, agreed.
And honestly, I could, even though I don't like movies that are, okay, I do think people are generally good, but I think they're capable of awful things, and I just don't need to see it. I could read about it, watch a documentary, because they're caught. As soon as they're not caught, I'm like,
you're like, he's still in the wild?
Yeah, and they were never found. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, it was like, no. It was like the clowns for a while there.
That Summer of Clowns.
That was fucking weird.
Summer of Clowns.
Just popping
That's
up
where it all
everywhere.
started going wrong, I think.
Summer of Clowns.
The Summer of Clowns. And we're still stuck with it. I just feel like it was just, for the time that this movie was probably a really great movie.
I'm sure it freaked a lot of people out.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
A lot of critical reviews saying, man, it's so scary. I'm like, I mean, it's not. But like, I like the poster that literally said, like, if your skin isn't crawling, it's on too tight. I was like, what?
Yeah, like at first
That's
you're just
weird.
like, wait, that's just strange. But I get what they're saying.
Skin isn't crawling.
It's on too tight.
He's gonna loosen it for you.
Yeah.
That's all I can get from that. Like, I have it written down.
But in general, like, I actually really enjoyed the movie. I really enjoyed what it begat, like the Halloween movie.
Right.
I was just, this is great. I
Nice.
guess Halloween started as a sequel to this movie.
Well,
Yeah.
I was reading, Bob Clark was saying, if I was going to make a sequel, this is kind of what I think. And John Carpenter was like, I like where your head's at, sir.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna do this.
He's all, but I'm actually going to put good music in there. It's okay.
Yeah, right.
That's right, Carpenter. I got your back. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we chose it as our Christmas movie.
What about Screaming Kenneth?
Yeah,
Are there
like
any?
2. I'm gonna say 2, mostly because
Two's
I
kind of
was,
your
That's pretty
base,
good,
actually.
yeah, because I was home alone. It gets like a
There you go.
half scream bump.
Nice.
Half scared. Like, it was the fellatio that scared you, right?
It's like, woo. It's like hearing Mufasa. It gets me all riled.
Do you need the info?
Yeah, I do need the info. I know
might have it in this
you guys know where
somewhere.
to find us at notgl.com.
Oh no.
Nope.
NOTLG.
NOTLG. I'm looking at Instagram, guys.
Oh my
Guess
God.
what? So you can find us
have
on
an
Twitter
Instagram.
at twitter.com
We can do this as like a round robin here. Yeah, you can.
yeah, go
You
ahead.
can like us and follow us at Facebook at I Know What You Podcasted Last Summer.
You can find us on Twitter at
I
What
already
You
said that.
Podcasted. Yeah, but I'm stealing it from you because I don't know the rest of it.
No, you can. She said Facebook.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
on Facebook.
You can also find us on Instagram.
That's right.
At What You Casted.
You can,
Or-
yeah, I was going to say Instagram. I don't really have it in my hand.
You can listen to
Handle
us,
is IKWYPLS. We have about 18 followers. You could be one of them, guys.
Be one of our followers.
Yeah, like,
Also, NOTLG.com/whatyoucasted.
Yes.
And on SoundCloud at the NOTLG hub, I guess is what I should
Yes.
call that at SoundCloud. The
Port.
The port. Sail into our port.
Name of my sex tape.
Christopher Cross, man. Where else are you going to listen to a horror podcast where you someone singing some Christopher
I don't
Cross?
know.
deepest of cuts.
NSYNC, because NSYNC covered that song.
Girl.
Yeah,
Girl,
they
you
did.
know
Oh,
that's
no.
how I know that song.
Yeah, I told you. What? We're not music
They
snobs
sang
like somebody
it
around
during
here.
one of their live shows when
Yeah,
they all
they
wore white and sat on stools.
Yeah, they did. And they were like, and they were
Wrap this up.
sliding.
I have other things to do with my life.
Oh, thank you very
Oh
much
my
for
God.
listening, guys. If you'd like to give us 5 stars,
5 stars.
we appreciate that, man.
Yes.
Merry Christmas to you all.
Merry Christmas.
And keep it real.
Hey listeners, do you want everyone to know what you did last summer? Want to bring a little Halloween to even the sunniest of days? Check out our merch store at shop.spreadshirt.com/NOTLG for shirts, hoodies, mugs, and commemorative knives. Okay, that was a joke. We don't actually have hoodies. Okay, that also was a joke. We do have hoodies.
This has been a Night of the Living Geeks production. For more information and content, visit NOTLG.com.